Admiral Kethvar stood on the bridge of the flagship Sovereign's Wrath, watching the tactical display with satisfaction. 3,000 ships stretched across the void in perfect formation, the largest armada the hegemony had ever assembled. Before them, the rebel colony of New Geneva hung like a ripe fruit, defended by barely 200 vessels. "The humans have responded to our ultimatum," reported Communications Officer Zelnix, her four eyes blinking in sequence. Kethvar's mandibles clicked with amusement. "Let me guess, they refuse to surrender." "Correct, Admiral. They say—" Zelnix paused, consulting her display. "They say we can go to hell." The bridge crew chittered with laughter, humans and their crude expressions. After 2 centuries of expansion across the galaxy, they still clung to their primitive emotional responses. It would be their downfall. "Begin the assault," Kethvar commanded. "Full orbital bombardment. I want this over within the hour." The Armada moved forward like a metallic storm cloud. Hegemony ships fired in coordinated volleys, their plasma cannons painting space in brilliant colors. The human defense fleet responded desperately, their inferior weapons barely scratching the hegemony shields. Everything proceeded exactly as planned. Then the sensors detected it. "Admiral," called Tactical Officer Vrentok, his voice uncertain. "Single ship approaching from the asteroid belt. Human configuration." Kethvar glanced at the display. A lone vessel, no larger than a destroyer, was accelerating toward the battle zone. Its design was unfamiliar, sleeker than typical human craft, with unusual energy readings. "One ship?" Kethvar's laugh was harsh. "Let it come. We'll add it. To the wreckage." The human vessel closed the distance with surprising speed. As it entered weapons range, something extraordinary happened. It didn't fire. Instead, it began transmitting on all frequencies. The voice that emerged was calm, measured, distinctly human. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the UES Defiance. To all hegemony forces, you have 30 seconds to cease fire and withdraw or face the consequences." The bridge fell silent. Then the laughter began, first as a chuckle from Zelnix, then spreading until the entire command crew was convulsed with mirth. "The consequences," Kethvar wheezed. "One ship against 3,000. But his amusement died when he saw the tactical display. The human ship had done something impossible. It had somehow positioned itself directly between the Armada and the colony, despite the laws of physics suggesting it should have taken twice as long to reach that position. "Sir," Vrentok's voice was tight with confusion. "The human vessel, it's not moving in normal space." Kethvar studied the readings. The ship flickered in and out of existence, appearing at different coordinates faster than light should allow. But that was impossible. Humans didn't possess advanced FTL technology beyond standard jump drives. 20 seconds, Captain Chen's voice continued, serene and deadly. "Destroy it," Kethvar snarled. 100 ships turned their weapons on the lone human vessel. Plasma bolts, particle beams, and fusion torpedoes converged on its position. The Defiance simply wasn't there when they arrived. It reappeared behind the hegemony's front line, and for the first time, it fired. What emerged wasn't energy or projectiles. It was something else entirely. A ripple in space-time itself that passed through the hegemony ships like they were made of paper. Where it touched, hulls didn't explode or melt. They ceased to exist. 50 ships vanished in an instant, their matter converted to pure energy that dissipated harmlessly into space. "What in the void's name was that?" Kethvar whispered. The human ship moved again, this time appearing in the center of the Armada's formation. Another ripple emerged, and another 100 vessels simply stopped being. "Impossible," breathed Vrentok. "No weapon can do that. Matter cannot simply be deleted." But Captain Chen's voice continued its countdown, now transmitted directly into their minds through some unknown technology. 10 seconds, 9, 8. The Armada began to scatter, all pretense of formation abandoned. But the Defiance was everywhere at once, A ghost ship that struck without warning and vanished before retaliation was possible. 7, 6, 5. Retreat, Kethvar screamed. All ships retreat. 4, 3, 2. The human ship appeared directly in front of the flagship's bridge, so close that Kethvar could see its pilot through the viewports. Captain Chen was a small woman by human standards, but her eyes held the weight of stars. 1. The Defiance didn't fire. Instead, it transmitted one final message. "This is what happens when you threaten our children," Captain Chen said quietly. "We tried to warn you. Humanity spent 2 centuries learning to fight your kind of war, ships against ships, numbers against numbers. But we never stopped learning to fight our own kind of war." She paused, and when she spoke again, her voice carried the cold certainty of an avalanche. "You brought 3,000 ships against 200, expecting easy victory through superior force. But you misunderstood something fundamental about humans. We don't just fight with what we have. We fight with what we can become." The Defiance began to fade, returning to whatever impossible realm it had emerged from. "Tell your hegemony this. New Geneva is under human protection. Any force that threatens it will face not an armada, but a single ship with a single human who has decided that your existence is no longer acceptable." The vessel disappeared completely, leaving behind only the wreckage of 800 hegemony ships and a message that would echo across the galaxy. Admiral Kethvar stared at the empty space where the Defiance had been, finally understanding what his species had overlooked in their calculations. They had counted human ships, human weapons, human numbers. They had forgotten to count human determination. The Armada limped home in defeat, carrying news that would reshape the war. The hegemony had learned a terrible lesson. When humanity's children were threatened, the response wasn't measured in ships or soldiers. It was measured in the willingness of a single human to become something beyond the possible, and to make the universe itself a weapon in defense of home.